Welcome back to Africa Arise Interactive, and today we are going to proceed on with Introduction to Computer Science Part 3, and this is going to be the last one. And from there, we are going to talk more beginning to program in Sketch. We are going to show you how to install Scratch and Python so that you begin to write your first lines of code. So let's get into it without further delay. Slide 14. We need to know how to think computationally. And as I have said, what is computational thinking? Now we need to have a little bit more to this definition. What is computational thinking though? Think of steps that you take when you want to go for fishing. Knowing how to think computationally puts you in control. In computer science, what makes computer scientists so kind of special, so kind of the way they are, and exceptional, the way they are, if they are, is because of their ability to think computationally. But what is computational thinking though? What stands in the gap between you and writing your first coding or computer program is simply learning a tricky but powerful skill of breaking down problems into small, achievable little actions which you tell a computer to perform on your behalf. So you want a computer to do something on your behalf. So you have to break down that problem into small chunks, into small pieces, and be able to give those pieces as instructions to a computer and instruct it to do on your behalf. This sounds so hard and weird. However, this is what we do every day. This is what computer scientists are doing every day today. For you to have a big platform, like a big application like Telegram today, it is simply because somebody was coding. For you to be able to watch this video on either YouTube, as you are watching maybe on YouTube, or you are watching this video on Telegram, on Facebook, it is simply because I think I have to also put, why am I talking about Telegram? I think I have to put these videos in my Telegram group as well. So for you to be able to watch this video on such platforms, somebody out there is even still busy today improving these platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Telegram, with these simple instructions of code, simple chunks of instructions which are given to the computer to be able to do what we are doing, sending messages, viewing videos, or viewing pictures, watching videos, and so forth. This is very weird, but it is something that computer scientists, this is something which you, if you are interested in doing computer science, you are going to do each and every day. So we just did this in the phone book example where we looked for a name, honest. You first open the first page, you see that it's all words starting with the letter A. You go to the other bunch of pages next, you see that it's always starting with the letter B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I until you get to H. Then you begin to follow again, looking at H, A, H, H, B, H, what, as you go until you go to H, O, N, E, S, T, you see. Now, this is a kind of computational thinking as well. But in this way, we used a kind of computational thinking which brings us to another word called pseudocodes. What does the word pseudocode mean? Before I talk about this, we have got two words here, pseudo and coding. So pseudocoding, coding is simply writing computer programs using a particular computer program. Using a particular computer language. Even though we haven't talked about computer languages, which we are going to do, but you have to understand that computers use computer languages. And why computer languages? The reason we use computer languages, as you have already known now, that computers don't understand human language. They understand machine language. So computer languages are a catalyst or are a mediator between the machine language and the human language. So that is to say, computers tend to understand computers tend to understand computer programming languages, as well as humans tend to understand computer programming languages. So this is the only way that can keep the marriage between a computer and a human. For a person to be married to a computer, the mediator is the computer programming language. Where we are going to talk about these languages, I'm going to put a visual video where I'll be talking in this regard. So now you understand what computational thinking is. Let's move on to have an example of computational thinking. The best way to learn is learning by doing. What is pseudocode? The word pseudo means something like. So we are saying something like computer code, but it is in your language. Whether your language is English, whether your language is Afrikaans, your language is Shona, your language is Zulu, and Ndebele, your language is Tswana, your language is French, your language is Spanish, and so forth, Japanese, Chinese. You create something like computer code using your language. Okay. So you write the simple instructions which you want a computer to perform using your own language, your mother tongue language, the language which you grew up speaking. And in computer programming, we have laws or rules of using a language. Just like in your language, for example, in English and even in other languages, we have what is called grammatical rules for a language. So we also have something in computer science called syntax. So now we have several number of words which we need to keep in your mind, starting from the word abstraction to the word algorithm, to the word pseudocode, to the word syntax, the word computational thinking. These are different words which we need to keep in mind as we are involved in computer science Don't try to claim them, but just revisit these videos if you will, or just write some notes and some short definitions so that you keep these words in your mind. Now, writing code involves rules, whereby the rules are guided by a term called syntax. If you forget the word syntax, just think of the word grammatical rules for a particular language. In short, we are writing syntax, short instructions in our tongue language so that it becomes easier for us when we transfer it into a particular programming language. For example, we have programming languages like C, C Sharp, C++, PHP, Python, Dart programming language, Java programming language, JavaScript. You get it? Java and JavaScript, there are two different programming languages. We have got Swift, Ruby, Julia, and so many other programming languages out there. In other words, pseudocode is what will later become comments when you are doing actual coding in a particular programming language. So pseudocode is what we'll be using as comments. Comments, you will learn later about this one, but let's talk a little bit about them. We have said syntax is grammatical rules of a particular programming language, and comments are a set of ideas which you write within your code when you are writing a particular language. But they are called comments because when you write a computer programming language, you want to do what you call running the code. That is to say, if I build a website using Python and Django programming language today, I need to set up a website on the internet and somebody will visit that website that is using the website. As the website is visited, in other words, the website is running, or in other words, the code which I wrote in Python language is running. But within that code, I would have maybe written comments. So as the code is running, the comments are not running because it's a way whereby the computer scientists designed that the language will ignore those comments and take them not as code. All right. Now we come to an example of pseudocode. Pseudocode algorithm, we are continuing, and in this regard now we are talking about the examples of a pseudocode. How do I learn computational thinking? An example, pseudocode algorithm. Now we want to give an example. Going back to the example of the book, or which contains phone numbers, the phone directory, the hard copy. So you want to give an instruction to somebody to open a book and find the name Honest and call the name or the person called Honest. Once you've opened the book, you look for their phone number, you find them. How do you do this? So in pseudocode, this is how you would simply give a simple instruction as you would do to a computer. So in other words, you are writing a short summary of how you would want to structure your instructions to a computer to be able to do something. So you say, pick up the phone book, and you say, open to the middle of the phone book. And once you are at the middle of the phone books, look at the names. there in the middle of the phone book. Then now you say if honest is among names, then call honest. Else, if honest is earlier in the book, open to the middle of the left half of the book, or go back to step 2. Else, if honest is later in the book, open to the middle of the right half of the book. Go back to step 2. Else, close the book. So this sounds weird. And as you can see, I have colorized these words and I have numbered number 1 to 13. When you are writing, I have done this deliberately because you will see this when you are beginning to do our coding, as we'll be using special text editors for computer programming, which are known as IDEs. You will find out that they have numbers to the left, and each and every line of a statement that you'll be writing will be in numbers. And besides that, I have colorized the word pickup is in red, the name and the words the phone book are in black. You'll find out that there are keywords over there which have been put in different colors for deliberation as well as for emphasis. And there are some gaps like getting in a little bit. As I hover my mouse over here, you can see over here on core. Why is it that I did not make the word core honest to start from just in line with other letters? It is a principle. It is a rule in a particular programming language that you can use. Other programming languages, they emphasize the use of this. It's called indentation. And Python programming language, which is one of the languages that you are going to learn, emphasizes this heavily. So you need to know. Others, they say 4 white spaces. And it's normally achieved by pressing on your keyboard the key tab. If you are looking on your keyboard, you can see to your left above caps there is a key named tab, or you can hit enter, automatically it indents. All right, now we also have words like if honest is among names, it's conditional. They are referred to as conditional statements because you are giving a condition that if honest is among names, then call the name. But what if honest is not among the names? Then we have another condition. Else, if honest is earlier in the book, open to the middle left half of the book. So you are going backwards of the book. Else, if it's these are conditional statements. But the words pick up, open to, look at, these are simple instructions, direct instructions. Open to the middle, it's a direct instruction, but which comes after a condition. Then go back to step 2. It's a direct instruction, but which comes after a condition of failure to find the name. So, as you are going, maybe you are on Facebook right now, or you are on whatever platform you are on YouTube. You want to search for a JavaScript computer programming tutorial, or Python programming tutorial, or you have been searching for introduction to computer science, this tutorial. So the computer was given instruction like to search for what you have searched for, and if it finds it, it displays for you Else, if it doesn't find what you have been searching, it displays other things or it displays nothing. This is exactly what you are experiencing today. So you should not feel it to be very, very difficult. And you are going to work a lot. I cannot emphasize this enough. You are going to work a lot with these terminologies, simple instructions, direct instructions, and if statements. They are conditional statements. So computer programming is made up of four major important concepts. We have other concepts that will come, but we have got four major important concepts in computer science, as I have listed to the far right over here. Functions, conditions, boolean expressions, loops. These are one of the major concepts of computer programming, even though we also go ahead to have things like threads, variables, events, lists, dictionaries, classes, and in other programming languages they are different. They are called maps and you name it, many other concepts. But the major concepts that embed computer science are these first four ones: functions, conditions, boolean expressions, loops. You are going to use all of them. You are also going to learn about classes and dictionaries and lists, events, whatever, variables, and so on. All right. So now we have dwelt much on this slide because we wanted to emphasize something, and I hope you have learned a lot. Let's proceed. It's just 9 minutes. Now, the red letters, the red words, we can refer to them as verbs or actions. We are going to start calling the functions. We are going to start calling these ones functions now. Pick up the phone, pick up. We are going to call them. In computer science, everything that every simple instruction that kind of have a calls for action, we can refer to it as a function. And those ones in sky blue, like if, else, we can begin to call them. They are question-like statements or proverbial forks in the road. We are going to begin to call them conditions or conditional statements. Those ones in green, honest is among names. Honest is earlier in the book. Honest is later in the book. There are specific questions we are asking in order to make a decision. So we ask questions which are specific so that we make a decision. If we are to go back to the middle half left of the book, or go to the middle right half of the book, or we can make a call. So these ones are Boolean expressions. We are going to begin to call them Boolean expressions. They require only two answers. It's either a yes or a no. Sorry, not two answers. They only require one answer. It's either a yes or a no. Or it's either a true or a false. Or it's either a 0 or a 1. Now you see what it is. The abstraction. You remember when we were talking in the first tutorial on zeros and ones. We are going to call them Boolean expressions. They were named after their founder, the guy who was called Mr. Boole, who invented this one. He was a mathematician. Okay, now we have those ones which are in dark blue. Is it dark blue? These ones like go back to step 2, purple kind of. So go back to step 2, go back to step 2. These are circle kind of repetition. They are repeating. We are going to begin to call them loops. They tell a computer to do something again and again until forever, or until there is a condition like else, which stops, which cuts. So nothing can stop a loop until there is a condition to stop it. Now, I hope this makes sense. This leads us to our final slide before we get to begin. I wanted to make this slide continue and continue, but I discovered that if I make it continue without getting to start to do something practically, it becomes monotonous, it becomes boring. So right now we are going to switch over here after summarization of this one and get to start. You can begin to think of these statements as a great recipe for phishing or an easy way to find contacts in the directory. Like any recipe for cooking, these are good step-by-step instructions which, if followed in order, will help you produce great results. So pseudocodes or computer programming is just a set of instructions like recipes. Think of cooking something using a cookbook. A cookbook has got some recipes which are instructions on how to cook a particular menu. So that's what it is, simply is. So now cool down and be patient. This is just the best foundation that we were laying for you to understand. And we can now begin to get to start coding in Python programming language and other languages that we are going to introduce. For example, JavaScript for those who are going to code in Scratch blocks. I enrolled in this expensive technical course. Sorry, I had meant to sell this course, but I have just decided to give it for free. But somebody saying, I started watching these videos so that I learned to code, but you are now telling me about cooking. I don't want to be a cook. Yes, you don't want to be a cook, but you are going to cook computer code. You are going to cook mobile applications. You are going to cook websites. So you need to learn to cook.
Thank you for watching. If you have managed to get this far, it means that you are a star and you really know what you want. And I promise you, you will never be disappointed because it's all about perseverance. It's all about going for it, no matter the odds. Keep repeating the videos because this is all new stuff and you need to keep getting it into your mind. And the more you get it into your mind, the more it sticks. Do your best to share this video if you really like it and consider subscribing if you haven't. Share, like, subscribe, comment, ask questions, and I'm ready to come back to you. Thank you very much and until next time, bye-bye.